This news is funded by viewers like you. Please support our work at democracynow.org/give. The United Nations General Assembly is voting today on a resolution calling for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza and the immediate release of all hostages. The vote comes 4 days after the United States vetoed a UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire to halt Israel's bombardment of Gaza, which has killed over 18,000 Palestinians. Israel says Hamas and other groups in Gaza are still holding 138 hostages. During the 7-day truce in late November, Hamas released 105 hostages in exchange for 240 Palestinian women and children who were held in Israeli prisons. On Monday, relatives of some of the remaining Israeli hostages met with Israeli lawmakers at the Knesset. The Times of Israel reports the families, quote, called for the government to prioritize seeking an agreement for their release through diplomatic channels rather than pressing on with the military offensive in Gaza against Hamas, unquote. Family members are planning to hold a protest outside the Knesset today under the slogan, "The hostages have no time." We're joined right now by Neta Heiman Mina. Her 84-year-old mother, Neta Heiman, was held hostage in Gaza and freed on November 28th. She'd been kidnapped on October 7th from her home on the kibbutz Nir Oz, near the border with Gaza, by Hamas. Neta Heiman is joining us from Haifa. She's a member of the Israeli chapter of Women Wage Peace. Neta, welcome to Democracy Now! I'm so sorry under these circumstances. Can you talk about what you're demanding?
We are demanding to release all the hostages. We are demanding from the Israeli government to put a deal on the table. Do not wait to Sinwar to offer a deal. We need the Israeli government to put a deal that will be a painful price. We will need to release a lot of Palestinian prisoners. We will need to do a lot of days of stop the fire stop. But the people that was taken in the 7th of October, the price is for them, and they deserve this price because the country was left them behind. It's been 67 days, I think, since the 7th in October, and they're still there. Yesterday, Amiram Cooper from kibbutz Nir Oz it was his 85th birthday. 85 years old man that keeping hostage in Gaza. Without medication, without enough food. Who can survive this?
There's been some discussion of Israel flooding the tunnels with salt water. Can you respond to this and what was said to Israeli lawmakers?
Part of our people are in these tunnels. If you flood it with water, what will happen to the hostages? We know part of them is in the tunnels, are in the tunnels.
Can you talk about the day that your mother was released? This was during the truce, during the temporary ceasefire, when more than 100, Hamas released more than 100 hostages. Where were you? How was your mother, Neta Heiman?
It was very exciting. We wait for this for 53 days. She was hosted 53 days, and we wait for her to be in the list. Every day there was a list who will be released the day after, and we wait. And she came back. We were very happy. She came back and she is okay. But there is a lot of people are still there, and this is what important, to bring them back home immediately because they have no time. The bombing on Gaza can hurt them. My mother wasn't in the tunnel. Every bomb that fell on Gaza can hurt her, hurt the hostages. We must bring them home now. There is no time.
And can you talk more about how she was treated by Hamas, who she was held with, and also who your mom, 84 years old, Ditsa, is, and talk about her role in the kibbutz near Az?
I can't. The story of her 53 days, it's her story, and I can't tell her condition, and because it can be a danger for the people who left behind. She was 84 years old that lived all her adult life in the kibbutz, near the border with Gaza. She built the kibbutz. She was from the founders of the kibbutz. She was she was a social worker for a long time. She worked until age of 80.
And Neta, if you can talk about your organization, Women Wage Peace, an organization that the slain activist Vivian Silver was also a part of, who was killed on one of the kibbutzes. They thought she was being held hostage, but ultimately, I guess they found DNA of her on the kibbutz.
Women Wage Peace is a movement, Israeli movement of people from all of the rainbow, political rainbow. We are not sorry, and all we ask for since Tzuk Eitan, since 2014, to make an agreement with the Palestinians. We doesn't tell what kind of agreement, but we are believe that there is a possibility to talk with the Palestinians and to make an agreement that will bring us a peaceful life. We have a sisterhood movement, a Palestinian sisterhood movement that they call us themselves Women of the Sun. There are people, women from the West Bank and from Gaza as well. And we all believe that we can live here in peace.
In your opinion piece for Haaretz back in October, you wrote, "I'm furious at the Israeli government and the accursed members of the government who, because of them, the army was patrolling in the West Bank village of Hawara over the Sukkot holiday, instead of guarding and protecting my mother. I'm furious at this government that has for almost a year been doing everything they can to escalate the situation in the Gaza border area. This colossal failure, this chaos is on their shoulders, is their fault, as is the fact that even now, 4 days later, a government representative has still not visited most of the families of the hostages." That was in October. If you can talk about what is happening now with the Israeli government, how they're communicating with you. You gave a speech yesterday. Explain where you gave it and what your message was, Neta.
The Israeli government contact all the families, and all the hostage families has contact with the government and with the army, but it took too long. Part of the families, it took almost 2 weeks until someone called them. Yesterday, we were, Women Wage Peace, were lighting Hanukkah candles in the hostages square in Tel Aviv Museum. And we call for release all the hostages and start a peace process after.
What would that peace process look like?
don't know. I know that the Hamas must gone. They can't control Gaza, but Israel can't control Gaza as well. It will be. I think it will be. It will need international involvement to establish something else in Gaza that maybe the Palestinian I don't know how to tell
authority,
it.
the Palestinian Authority
Will take, yes, the Palestinian Authority will take Gaza to establish something else to replace the Hamas control in Gaza.
Your final
and
thoughts.
Then maybe
your final
what?
thoughts on President Biden, on the United States vetoing the UN Security Council resolution calling for a ceasefire.
I think it must be ceasefire for that we can release all the hostages, and then Israel has the right to protect herself. And what happened in the 7th of October came out from Gaza, but I don't think we can destroy Gaza or erase Gaza. There are also innocent people in Gaza, not all of them from the Hamas.
Well, Neta Heiman Mina, I want to thank you for being with us. Her 84-year-old mother, Neta Heiman, was kidnapped by Hamas from her home on the kibbutz near Az, near the Gaza border, was released November 28th. Neta is a member of the Israeli chapter of Women Wage Peace. Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you. Please give today at democracynow.org/give.